All right, here goes. It's the Vinyl Community Guncles video where we are reviewing Taylor Swift. Will we get a whole new audience with this video? We'll find out. But yeah, Taylor Swift, it was my choice for us to do this. First of all, we are the Vinyl Community Guncles. We are Richard from Calvin Wazoo, Mike from Hub Tunes, Craig from Craig's Vinyl Plethora, and I am Robert Fitton, the guy with what is supposedly an $800 Taylor Swift CD single. This is apparently worth $800. But anyway,
wow.
Why do you still have it?
Because you never know what could happen. That could bring the price up to maybe $8,000. Crazy thing.
You never can tell with Swifties.
I'm the one that chose the Taylor Swift album. I have never heard a Taylor Swift album in its entirety before. Worked in radio for quite a while, playing a lot of Taylor Swift in country radio and then in the adult hits format. So I am familiar with a lot of her singles, earlier ones, nothing off of this. So I'm familiar with her early work as far as the hits, but I have never heard a Taylor Swift album before. The reason I thought we should review a Taylor Swift record is because she is pretty much it as far as people that would release an album in the 2010s or 2020s, and that album is still talked about a year, 3 years, 4 years later. There's really no one else like that.
No.
There isn't. I mean, working at a record store, working in radio, being involved in music and loving music and being a part of the whole thing. People will put out albums. Everybody from older acts like Judas Priest and whoever, newer acts like Beyonce or whatever, they will put out an album. It'll be, oh my God, this is the greatest thing ever. Oh my God, Rob Halford's back. Oh my God, Beyonce put out a country album. It'll be the hottest thing. Everybody wants it. And then 3 days later, it's forgotten about. A week later, it's forgotten about. Billie Eilish, 2 weeks later, it's forgotten about. Taylor Swift is pretty much the only artist that is comparable to people like Pink Floyd and the Beatles and, where their albums are still talked about over a year after they've been released. Now, of course, Pink Floyd, Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath, we're talking decades after their release. But so I thought we should all give ourselves over to seeing what this is all about and review a Taylor Swift album. And I chose Fearless. Or no, I didn't choose Fearless.
No, you did not.
Folklore.
Folklore. Yeah.
Folklore. I chose Folklore.
Fearless is like her second
album. The wrong album again.
Yeah, I chose Folklore, and Craig is up first.
I'm up first. I'm probably the only one that on this panel that was actually familiar with this album. So obviously this album came out in the middle of the pandemic. It was I'm not a Swiftie, but I appreciate Taylor, I think, more than a lot of people my age do. But I've been listening to her for years, and this is and I had a lot of her records. I recently I needed to I have a large collection. I needed to get rid of some things. So I only kept 2 of her albums. I had like 6 of them before, maybe 8. And this was the one I was not going to get rid of in the 1989. So where do I begin with this record? Like, to kind of put it in perspective, this 2020, we had the pandemic. I was in the middle of a divorce. So a lot of what is spoken about or sung about on this record really resonated with me at that moment in time, because of what I was going. I had just moved to Kansas City. I had just all of these changes in my life were going on, and they were all very emotional. And this record kind of captured what I was going through at that particular moment or that particular time when it came out. So yes. So it starts out with the song, The One, and it could have been fun if you were the one. And that's where my head was at that time, is because I was in a relationship. I got married, and it's just I thought this is what my ever after was going to be, and it wasn't. And I would have those moments where I was seeing people that looked like the ex, not necessarily at a bus station, but it's like, hey, I thought, because it was always in my brain at that particular moment in time. Not now, that face is in the garbage can, but what so I love the opening track, Cardigan. Again, it's like, that was the first single off of it. And I love the, you put me on like an old cardigan that you said I was your favorite. Exile, Bonnie Bear. I mean, the fact that she got Bonnie Bear to like, and Jack Antonoff and so many other people that collaborated with her on this record. That one's good. I like the whole, I've seen that movie before, type of thing. But when we get into My Tears Ricochet, that is the reason I love this record as much as I do. That song, the opening of the angel chorus, Have You Will, basically this death that's happening, this is a death of a marriage. This is that she has said that she kind of had this picture in her mind, like, if I was going through a divorce, this is kind of what I would be feeling and I would be going through. And so because that is what I was going through at that exact moment when this record came out, this is the song. And it's still like, I have a hard time listening to it now, but it was just, why are you at the wake if you fucking hated me as much as you did? And there's so much about that song and so much of what I was feeling personally at that moment. I think that's why I connected to it so well. I'll just talk about a few more tracks that were just really, 7. I love that I hit my peak at 7. The song August, I love that she had written a line. She wrote something down. She's like, meet me behind the mall. And years later, she wrote an entire song around that one line that she wrote. I want something to be about, and it's tragic. I love you. You've got a girlfriend. You got somebody else. We're having this summer romance, but it's nothing. But, we're going to meet behind the mall. August, that was that one. This Is Me Trying. That's another one that I really enjoy. Invisible String. That's another one I like, that there's so many different things that can, like, there's what's bringing us together. It's this invisible string. So, Mad Woman, whatever. Betty, I like how she's singing in the perspective of a male, with her skateboard and all that stuff. So again, when this record came out, it was very just to what I was going through at that moment. So this is always going to be something it kind of got me through it. I mean, it sounds kind of like, a Taylor Swift album, someone my age, but yeah. And there's some of her stuff I really, really love. Some of her stuff I really don't care for. But I have respect for her as an artist. And she's definitely somebody that has been like, look, this is my shit. She's fought people for the rights of her own music and her own material. And it's just, and the fans are insane, and mad respect to that. But it is at least a 4 rainbow album to me. So there you have it. That is what is going on in this head of mine. Richard.
All right. Nice start. Yeah. Now it's time for Richard from Calvin Wazoo.
When we had this album, I also had never really listened to, I had never listened to Taylor Swift. Caught a couple of her songs on the radio once in a while, and that was it. And there's a colleague of mine who is a big Swiftie. She is a major, major, major Swiftie. So I told her that we were going to be reviewing the album, and, did she have, would she give me her thoughts about this particular album? And I would listen to the album, before I would read her thoughts. And this is what she sent me. She's got every album. I believe she's seen Taylor Swift at least once, maybe more. She said Folklore was released in 2020 when the world was falling apart at the seams. Many of us were scared and isolated from friends and family, not knowing if the pandemic would take them away from us. Life as we knew it was essentially canceled until further notice. Folklore was a sudden release, no marketing, no big announcement. It just appeared. And it brought much needed sunshine back into my dreary days. The lyricism is raw and the music hauntingly beautiful. Epiphany is one that still gives me goosebumps. Folklore will sit in my heart for the rest of my days. And I asked her to rank all of Taylor Swift's albums, and she ranked Folklore as number 2. So seeing that afterwards, and, and listening to this record, I was having a weird reaction to it. I recognized with Taylor Swift, she's a fucking good lyricist. She knows how to put words together. As I would go through the songs, my notes would constantly have this same word appearing, clever. I mean, it's really clever. For example, the song The Great American Dynasty, which is about this Rebecca Harkness. I mean, it's really a clever homage that she made to this woman who basically did what she wanted, and herself, in that how she was doing what she wanted. And just like Rebecca Harkness, she was ruffling feathers. She was pissing people off. And it was kind of written in this sense of, I guess, her previous publisher. She was in a pissing match with her previous publisher over the rights to her music. And I found an interview where she said, it can be a real pearl-clutching moment for society when a woman owns her desires and wildness. And, that's kind of what that song is about. I love the line in Cardigan, when you're young, everyone assumes you know nothing. But again, she's singing about, there's a couple songs, there's I think 3 songs that are all kind of tied together because of this love triangle that she's singing about. And it is, it's a good point in that, yeah, we tend to dismiss teenagers, people in their early 20s, you really don't know anything. But you know what? When you are going through whatever it is you're going through, you're learning a lot, and you're learning it really fast. And it can be, sometimes it's liberating, and sometimes it's really oppressive. And her lyrics, that's why I kept writing down clever. She really, in some of her lyrics, really captures that angst, that twistiness of kind of what's going on, like meeting me behind the mall, this summer romance. Well, dude, you went off and slept with some other girl, and then there's a song where it's from his perspective, where he's trying to, make amends. It's this, I recognized the song Ricochet. I had heard that song on the radio or someplace, or whatever, and that was another one where I wrote down clever, because of the way she was portraying the story of being dead, and the guy, well, then why are you here? Why are you here at this funeral?
Wearing the rings that I bought you.
Yes, Mm-hmm. So I mean, I'm sitting there thinking, damn, this woman she knows how to weave a story with the lyrics. 7 was a very touching childhood memory. I really, did enjoy that. And August is another one of those songs, about the teenage indiscretions. So yeah, there's some really clever writing going on. What I found for me taxing was, I don't know, the melodic monotony of the record. I kind of wished with some of the songs, and I'm sure she does that in concert, when she does this live. But I kind of wish some of the songs that she would just really fucking scream. I just, you're talking about some really raw emotions in some of these songs, and you've got this, like, I don't know, it's this soft tone voice which works a lot of the time, but through the entire album, it just kind of, it did kind of wear on me. But I have to recognize this is a really, in terms of the songwriting, in my opinion, it's a really strong record. I mean, she's a billionaire now. This is no exaggeration. She is a literal billionaire because she is really so popular. She's blown off BTS, which was the biggest worldwide act since the Beatles. And she's blown them off, which has made her a target recently because of a show in Austria that got canceled because of a threat of terrorism. She's under constant scrutiny, and that comes out in this particular record of her dealing with that constant scrutiny. I can't remember where I read it, but there was some article I read where they were saying it must really be hard being Taylor Swift to find somebody to trust and love, knowing, one, are they just coming at me because I'm famous? And two, if they're really coming at me, can they deal with all the shit that comes with me? And she really brings that in there with this. So I have a lot of respect for this album. Will I go buy it? No. It really was. I mean, I didn't dislike listening to it, but it's kind of like a Bon Iver album. I mean, it's really good and in depth, but like what's that one for Emily? It's just so freaking depressing. You listen to it once and you never want to listen to it again. It's a masterpiece, but yeah, you don't want to listen to it again. I kind of feel that way with this album, that I've listened to it and it's good. I recognize for what it is, but yeah, I don't want to listen to it again. And I'm going to give it, because of what it is, I'm going to give it 4 rainbows as well.
Yeah. I'm actually when Craig talks about music that just hits him emotionally, I think it's so cool. I listen to music differently. I think we all probably listen to music differently. That's why we do this, and I think we get along so well, is we intake our music so differently. And the way Craig listens to music, and he can, Jesus, you just like went through like lyrics to a time in your life. Like I can't do that. I'm a little jealous that you do that. I think it's awesome. And that's why I can see you loving an album like this and loving bands like, the Sundays and we've been, through so many album reviews, and I'm a little jealous of you for that, because it's not how I listen to music. I think Taylor Swift is, first of all, I heard this album when it came out. I was told, if you're going to listen to any Taylor Swift album, this is the one you should listen to. So I did. I've never heard any of her other albums. I don't think I could even pull a song. I mean, I think that shake it up thing. I've heard that. Yeah, I've heard that. But other than that, I don't think I've ever heard a Taylor Swift song. But man, she's awesome, and I don't even know her music. I just think she's a great role model. She's a strong, powerful woman. The shit she did with her record company, taking back her music, fuck you, awesome. More fucking people do that. More artists need to do that. More women need to do shit like that. I think that is absolutely just incredible what she did. I love what she does for vinyl and her promotion of vinyl. And a couple years ago for Record Store Day, when there was I don't even know what was released on that. It was like a single, wasn't it? And every record store
there was a 45 for the Lakes, which is the hidden track or whatever you want to call it, the extra bonus track on this album. And then I think it was last year that she did the Pawn Sessions version of this album that I missed, and I'm not happy about, because that version of this album is exceptional. Like,
and every record store we went in that year, the lines were 300 people.
I remember that.
And over half of them were there for Taylor Swift. And good for her, and good for getting people into record stores, and good for her getting people to buy vinyl. I think it's awesome. And those people who went into that record store, they didn't just buy a Taylor Swift record. They also picked up a Bon Iver, or they picked up, maybe they grabbed a Pat Benatar record. Who the fuck knows? They were buying records, and I think that's awesome. And I didn't even think about this. What Richard just said. This woman is criticized and hounded, and she just keeps going, and she keeps a smile on her face. There are so many people around her using her right now, and I get it. I know one. I mean, I don't know for sure, but she's being used by a lot of people. And when she finds out she's being used, I guarantee you, she's going to write a great fucking album. Yeah. And this woman has been
count on her doing that.
Oh, she gets criticized more than any pop star, rock star that I can remember in probably my life. I mean, obviously Michael Jackson, but he brought that on himself. Yes. But yeah, I mean, and she's strong, and she's a strong, powerful woman, and I think that's freaking awesome. My notes. I wrote down I put in like stars at the top, and a lot of it had a very Joni Mitchell feel to it. Not the whole thing, not her singing style or anything, but there was a lot of just that open expression of just honesty. You believe what she's singing. You absolutely believe what she's singing. Is she singing it to me? These songs? No, she's not singing to me. I'm a 56-year-old gay man living in Chicago. She's not singing to me. But that's okay. She's got plenty of people to sing to. The One. It's exactly what I thought it was. When the album opened up, I was like, oh yeah, this is a Taylor Swift record. The song Cardigan I really liked. The Last American Dynasty. Probably, I don't know. It might be my favorite song ever. I really like that. It just kind of popped, after the first two songs. I really like that. Exile with Bon Iver. Good song. It's fine. Ricochet. I really liked Ricochet. That was awesome. Mirror Ball. I like that. I don't remember you guys mentioning Mirror Ball. I really enjoyed that song.
It's good.
7 was kind of meh. August was a good song. This Is Me Trying. I put not bad. Illicit Affair. It was fine. Mad Woman. I put Over It.
Yeah, don't
I did not like that song at all. The song Betty. I'm not in high school. That's a song written for a 18-year-old. I can't relate to it. The song Peace, I absolutely loved.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that and Great American Dynasty, probably my two favorite songs on the record. I thought they were really, really good. And then the Hoax, I just put meh. It's good though. I think it's like, just because I can't relate to it doesn't mean it's bad, right? lyrically, like Richard said, lyrically, it's really, really good. She does have a way with the words, and she's excellent at it. And she knows who she's singing to.
Mm-hmm.
She knows exactly who she's singing to.
Mhm.
She's singing to Craig and every other 18-year-old girl.
As a gay divorcee.
Craig and every other 18-year-old girl.
And all the other 18-year-old girls along with me, yes.
And that's okay, and that's great. Just because it's not for me doesn't mean it's bad. Like I said, everyone I talked to said, if you're going to listen to one Taylor Swift record, this is the one. And so I did. I listened to it twice this time, and then I heard it once when it came out. It's Taylor Swift. Like I said, I don't know her other albums.
And honestly, like
I
this,
do enjoy it.
This and Evermore, which came after,
right after
same
it.
producers and everything, and all of that. So all the people, Bon Iver's on it. They're the only two records like that in her catalog.
Yeah, that's what I've been
Like
told.
everything else is very poppy, pop gener. I mean,
my thing was, even if I did relate to this record, I don't know if I would listen to it a lot. It's not an upbeat record. It's kind of depressing.
It's not. That's probably why.
And it's very musically, it's very, like Richard said, just very, scream. Maybe a little guitar solo once in a while, but that's me. So I give it. I think it's great. I mean, I'm not going to buy it either, but I'll give it 3.5 rainbows.
All right, everybody's already said everything I was going to say, so I don't really know what I can add to that. I forgot to mention I did interview Taylor Swift.
Oh, sweet.
Not in person, over the phone. This was when she had the song "Teardrops on My Guitar" out as her new song.
Yeah,
so it's been a while. I think that was like her second single. I remember when she first came out. And again, I'm working in country radio at this point, and she has a song. We didn't know anything. There's this girl named Taylor Swift. She's super young. She's on Toby Keith's new label that he's launching, and she has a song called Tim McGraw. That's the name of the song. So she starts with me with like an eye roll, like, "Wow, come on! Now we got to play." It's Billy Gilman all over again. If you people remember who he is, it's just Leanne. Everybody was comparing her to Leanne Rimes, if you remember that. Because Leanne Rimes started off young, so that was what it was all about. She's incredibly young, and she's very talented, and she's got this song, and every time you hear Tim McGraw, I see that girly nonsense, and we're playing that right next to country.
By the way, I could
had
probably,
all kinds of different flavors.
I could probably relate to the song Tim McGraw, though. I mean. Hello.
Not necessarily.
She's talking about hearing Tim McGraw.
She's hearing Tim McGraw, not wanting to fornicate with Tim McGraw.
But so I knew the hits, the country hits up to a point, and then I knew the pop hits from the time I was on Adult Hits Radio, like you said, "Shake It Off," and there's a really bad song called "Bad Blood" that I wasn't a fan of. There was I Knew You Were Trouble When You Walked In, and all that kind of stuff, and whatever, but there was a few others as well, but I didn't know anything off of this. And like Mike said, I heard that this was the album that you want to, this is the one. If you're going to do one, this is it. So that's why I wanted us to review this, but I put it on not really knowing what to expect, because I've totally lost touch with her as far as what her music sounds like, and I didn't know if this is going to be an acoustic album with acoustic guitars. It's going to be like a Joni Mitchell thing, like Mike was saying. And 3 seconds in, we've got snap tracks. And I'm just like, oh, what have I done? Because this thing is a double album. It's over an hour long. And 3 seconds in, we've got the snap tracking thing. I cannot stand that. I really don't like girly girl pop. I don't like love songs, especially kind of just generic love songs. But so I'm thinking this is going to be disappointing, is what this is, because this is just going to be a bunch of loves. Oh my God, you left and I'm alone. Oh, I want you back. Oh, you're with me and I hate you. I want you to go away. Like Richard was, the the typical tropes. We've heard it all before. But she does seem to rise above a level of generic love songs. I have listened to other albums for my own channel when I'm reviewing like the top albums of the year. I did a thing where I reviewed albums that people wanted me to listen to, and for some reason they wanted me to listen to Billie Eilish. So I heard that album. Was not for me. And then I heard, what's her name? Lana Del Rey, one of her albums. Awful. That was awful. And I don't mind saying that. And a Taylor Swift fans watching. Lana Del Rey, that album was terrible. This
I don't like her.
Was not terrible.
That's
pretty much my review. It was not terrible. Cardigan, the second song, I'm thinking, here's a love song. It's got the shirt metaphor. I've heard shirt meta, you left your shirt and I'm in love with your shirt. I'm wearing your shirt. But then we get to things like The Last American Dynasty, which was a track to me on here that kind of stood out from the rest because it's different. And I really hope that Taylor Swift keeps doing different things besides boy-girl relationship type songs, because for the new people watching this that haven't seen any of our other videos, I am absolutely not a fan of boy-girl relationship songs. I do not like albums, especially ones that are put out by women where that's all they want to sing. There are so many other things to sing about, and so many female artists get so trapped either by a producer telling them to do this or just by that's the way it goes, where every song has to be about some dude. You listen to other albums from male artists or rock bands or whatever, and the subject matter is all over the place. But for some reason, females get pigeonholed. All they can sing about is some guy and how he is in charge of her happiness level. He's in charge of how she feels about herself. And I was afraid this was going to go in that direction. And then we get the last great Dynasty song, which kind of breaks out of that. And I think that's like the third or fourth track. And she also mentions St. Louis in that song. But yeah, so that's my favorite on here. Mirror Ball, I thought was pretty, like Richard said, very clever. She writes clever lyrics. She brings the general love story thing, whether it's a good relationship or a bad relationship. She seems to bring that alive a little more than your average pop star. And I haven't heard a lot of pop stars from today. I will say that I was kind of taken aback by the music all throughout this. I was expecting a little something like Shake It Off was going to come on eventually or something like that, but it did not. This is a very down tempo, very dreamy kind of music. It does get a little repetitive, though. It gets like, are we going to wake up here at one point? Or are we just going to shoegaze through the whole thing? We're going to shoegaze through the whole thing. And so, this is a double album with all of these tracks. I don't know how many tracks are on here. But
17, I think.
Yeah, so that's too much for me. I felt, but in the same way that I was listening to the Billie Eilish, especially, I did feel like a tourist. This is not meant for me. This is not my thing. I don't belong here listening to Taylor Swift albums, but I'm glad that I did. I know what her big album sounds like in its entirety, not just some hit singles from 10 years ago. She's 30 years old when she's making this, and she does have some moments where it does sound a little girly. That's another thing I can't stand, is the way the producers make female artists sound like they're 12 years old when they're not. I worked with the music industry. I know how that shit works. It's very aggravating. And there's actually an interview on that Hot Wings show with Ariana Grande where she actually talks about, I was in the studio and my producer wanted me to sing in this Cupid voice. And I was just like, what do you want me to do? You want me to just literally come on and go, he's like, yes. And so that's how she sang, and that's on the album. So that's like Ariana Grande saying this in an interview. So obviously a lot of these female artists do not want to sound like little girls, but they're forced to do that. Right. Taylor Swift is a little bit above that, but she does have moments where it still sounds a little teenagey, and she's 30 years old. So I hope she continues to mature. again, there's so much scrutiny on her. There's so much pressure on her. And she just, as a person, seems to rise above it, seems to take it in and just soar. She is definitely like I just, everything that Mike said was going to be what I said. So I feel like when we do those albums of the year thing and somebody's last and they're like, you showed all the, I don't know what else to show. It's kind of like, I don't know what else to say. I have a lot of respect for her as a person. I did before I heard this album. I still do. I think she's a great role model. I think she's great for vinyl. The whole record store day thing, I was going to bring that up about how she brings people to record store day. She brings people into the record store even when it's not record store day. We've got Taylor Swift at the record store going 2 shelves full. We don't have another artist like that. Even the Beatles don't do that. And people are always coming in there excited about Taylor Swift. And like I said at the beginning of the video, that's why I wanted to do a Taylor Swift album, because she is, just like they used to say about The Clash, but with Taylor Swift, it's true. She's the only pop star that matters. Everybody else's music right now, and for the last few years, 10 years, whatever, has been so disposable. It's so hot, and then it just is nothing a week later, 2 weeks later, it's forgotten. Taylor Swift seems to be the only person that's putting out new music in the last 20, 15 years, whatever, that's not like that, where her music stays around. People are still buying her albums 10 years after they came out, 4 years after they came out, still talking about them in videos. Everybody else, it's like, you get it when it's hot or there's no point, unless it's somebody like the Beatles or Pink Floyd or whatever, that put out albums 45 years ago.
When I was in Vietnam in a record store, they had a shit ton of Taylor Swift albums.
Right.
In a store in Vietnam.
Yeah. She's the only pop star that has any kind of longevity.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody else is a flash and it's over. And rock too. Rock, country, all of it. If it's a newer artist, they come out with something, or even an older artist with a new album, they come out with something. Everybody, oh my God, I got to get my copy. Oh, wow, it's great. Oh my God, this is the best album ever. And then a week later, nobody cares. The Betty song, though, is probably my second favorite song on here. And I didn't get that as her. Whoops. I did not read anything about this album. I didn't go to Wikipedia and look up all the songs. I didn't get that as she's taking on the role of a boy. I thought she was a girl talking about she is a gay girl.
Maybe I'm wrong about that, but I just
everybody takes it their own way. Like I could be wrong. Like I said, I didn't research any of these. I didn't want to research. I didn't want to have any kind of preconceived notions. And so I took it as she's a girl and she's a budding, her sexuality she's discovering, and she's falling in love with this girl who doesn't want to have anything to do with her. And she's she's uncomfortable with her feelings, and she's passing by the house or whatever she's doing, and she's looking at her across the gym. If they're in gym together, they're probably both girls, right?
Yeah. I guess,
that goes back to the cleverness of her writing.
Yeah, I thought that was great. But like everybody is saying, is that a song I'm going to put on in the car and crank up? No, but it's a song that I appreciate. And that's that's the word that I put with Taylor Swift. I've always appreciated her as a person. I've appreciated her as a role model. I appreciate all that she does for vinyl. I appreciate all that she does for pop music. And now I can appreciate some of her songs that aren't necessarily hits or whatever off this album. And that's as far as I go. I feel like a tourist. It's not for me. That's fine. I'll go back and listen to Alice Cooper from 50 years ago. And but this is not for me. I can appreciate it though. And so with that in mind, I will give it the music though. You gotta do something about that. I mean,
live.
Yeah, the music was
snap out of it, people. But again, I guess
some
of
her later stuff. I think that was kind of like what she was going for with those two.
Oh, I'm sure.
Is that it was just very melodic, very one note, for lack of a better term.
But that's the thing. It's not melodic. It's more like one note.
Right.
But it's during the pandemic, so it's probably for the time.
very reflective and very.
I don't
like,
know
you know,
what to give this as far as a rainbow rating because, again,
All right.
it's not something for me. It's not something I'm going to listen to, but it's not Lana Del Rey. It's not something ridiculous. It's not something I can see right through with cynicism and go, I know exactly the shit that the producer's trying to pull with this. Fuck this album. It's not that. So I have no problem giving Lana Del Rey's album a rainbow and a half or whatever. But this is, I don't know what to do with this. Is it a 3 rainbow album? Is it a 4 rainbow album? I really don't know how to
do.
3.5 rainbows, I guess. Four rainbows since
Four
for the people watching. 4 rainbows.
all
Did I
right,
mention
so
I have an $800 Taylor's? Yeah, I did mention it.
15 and a half rainbows for folklore. And the other thing is what a champion she is for people in general, especially like what she has done for our community.
Yeah.
She has been a champion for that, and what she does for her fans. I mean, if you go and look at like YouTube video, there is this freaking gay couple, and their song was a Taylor Swift song or whatever. She shows up at a donut shop or whatever where he's proposing. He messaged her and was like, "Hey," and she did it. I mean, this was like 10 years ago, but could you imagine Taylor Swift showing up at your engagement?
I have a friend who works on. I have to be careful what I say because NDAs and stuff. But I have a friend who works on some major tours. Major tours. I can't say who, but he says he is so jealous of people who work on Taylor Swift's tours. She takes care of them.
Yeah.
She flies people around. People who work backstage, people who set up her stages, they don't take buses. She flies them. And they meet the buses in the next city. She doesn't do shows on weekends. They have weekends off. I mean, he's like compared to who he works for, who I'll tell you guys off. But he's like it's unbelievable the difference. She takes care of her people, and no, it's not Cher.
I've read that too. That she does that.
Well, she's in a position to do that too. A lot of these other pop stars, they're totally under the thumb of whatever's going on, and they don't have any control. It's just get out there and.
I mean, she rules the world.
You know,
she's a
and she's been put in a she's been good enough to put herself in a position to do that. Which cannot, that's got to be extremely difficult to get to that point.
Very.
So many people with that kind of income coming in become so self-absorbed and so obsessed with the income. And as far as I can tell from what I've been reading and hearing, she's not like that. She hasn't let that overcome her sense of duty as a human being. And that to me is that's 5 stars, 5 rainbows.
She's a 5 rainbow human being.
She is a 5 rainbow, and she loves the kitty cats.
Can you imagine talking to her she's personally, like on the phone?
It'd be fun.
I did.
Yeah, you did. We have not, but
I mean, she was like 15, but
and has evolved a lot since then. But
yes.
So yay, Taylor.
Yay!
Swift.
What album are we reviewing next?
What is it?
We're gonna listen to John Prine, "In Spite of Ourselves," his 1999.
Oh,
album.
I have that record. Okay.
So this is this is a duet album.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So he's got Iris DeVent and Lucinda Williams and Connie Smith and Dolores Keane. And
I'm sure all the Taylor Swift fans will come back for that review. John Prine
probably won't, but yeah. The other one's sitting there. I
write that down.
Yeah,
I'm gonna forget.
This is something that I don't think that people would expect me to pick. So
really. You don't think so?
Well, it's a trend.
I think you probably would.
I don't know. It's so good. John Prine. So, but it's his later stuff.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll be reviewing some John Prine coming up. We're also going to be doing the tops and bottoms for the year what was it, 2013?
13, yeah.
I believe. We're also going to play our fun music game again. So stick around for that. All that and a lot more coming up. Thank you so much for watching, especially people that might be watching us for the first time because we reviewed Taylor Swift.
We
are the Vinyl Community Guncles. I'm Robert Fitton, along with
Richard at Kelvin Wazoo.
Craig's Vinyl Plethora.
Mike at Hooktunes.
Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you.
Ta-ta.